CTV News with Matt Grillo.
Good evening. A construction site in Point St. Charles is now shut down indefinitely after soil tests confirm there are dangerous contaminants on the property. For weeks, residents complained about the fumes and say they're relieved work has stopped. But they're still waiting for answers. Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil reports.
Loretta Snoren has been staying away from this construction site. She makes an exception today, not because she feels safe, but because she wants her concerns heard.
I don't open my windows because I have a 3-month-old at home, so I don't want him subject to it. I don't want to walk by it. It's whatever it is, it doesn't smell right.
At the corner of Island and Augustin Quentin streets in Point St. Charles, the construction site is now quiet. Public Health says the level of contamination found during excavation is stronger than expected. Soil tests detected petroleum hydrocarbons, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and heavy metals. Environmental epidemiologist Scott Weikenthal says a couple months of exposure isn't likely to significantly raise cancer risk, but his bigger concern is what happens next.
The longer term risk is probably, if they build a building on top of this site and they don't properly deal with the soil, then that contamination can kind of leach into the indoor air, whatever building they put on top of this.
Public Health says the initial results do not suggest an immediate health risk, but it says the odors can cause headaches and nausea. The site will remain closed while more test results are reviewed. Weikenthal says the odor, reported symptoms, and the rainbow sheen on standing water all point to a fuel oil leak that may have contaminated the ground for years. With more air testing still to come, he says the right contaminants need to be measured.
They should be measuring for some of the organic compounds. So like volatile organic compounds that are probably what are causing some of the symptoms like headache and nausea and that kind of upper respiratory tract kind of irritation.
For many nearby residents, the lingering uncertainty is just as frustrating as the odor.
We weren't ever told anything like, oh, you should keep your windows closed. We don't know if there's any danger of what we're inhaling.
How much of this information is actually being dished out? How much do we know of what's going on? And how much information will they be sharing?
For Snoren, the pause in construction brings some relief, but not yet peace of mind.
Right now, we're still sitting in it. It's just stopped, but it hasn't stopped for us. We're still breathing it in.
Laurence Brisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
More than a month after major flooding in Pierrefonds-Roxborough, piles of garbage and contaminated materials still litter several streets. On June 20th, severe thunderstorms dumped about 150 millimeters of rain, causing hundreds of homes in Pierrefonds-Roxborough and Dollard-des-Ormeaux to flood. Today is the last day for the special collection of flood-damaged items in Pierrefonds. Here's what some residents had to say on efforts to clean up the streets.
I think the city, I don't care what anybody says, I saw those guys, 2 guys per truck. They were at my house for 5 hours, just those 2 guys. And I brought them out water. Actually tipped them both a little bit too, because that's a hard, tough job, man. And that's all they were doing every day, just like slugging and throwing that stuff out, slugging and throwing that stuff out, I think they did an excellent job.
I know today they said there was going to be a trash pickup, and we're really hoping that's going to happen, because otherwise, I'm not going to lie, I don't know where this is going to go, because we can't put it back. There's nowhere for it to go.
The borough says after today, residents who still have materials to dispose of can use regular garbage services and the Saint Laurent Eco Center. The Montreal Police Arson Squad is investigating after a window was smashed and a fire set at a bakery in the LaSalle borough. Montreal police say a 911 call was made around 2 a.m. at about a fire at the Pâtisserie LaSalle on Newman Boulevard near Lees Street. Firefighters were able to stop the flames from spreading to the adjoining businesses. Incendiary material was found on the scene. Damages to the building are minor. A 45-year-old man was stabbed downtown early this morning. Police say a dispute escalated between several people in an alleyway not far from St. Catherine and Chomedy Street. The victim was later found near St. Mark Street. His life is not in danger. Officers have interviewed witnesses and will review surveillance footage from the area. Well, new statistics on crime show that there has been a steady increase in violent crime among young people in Quebec. The numbers are part of a portrait of crime in Canada that was released this week. According to police reports, violent crime across the country has dropped overall in the past 2 years. But violent crime among young people in this province is on the rise. The numbers show that it has increased about 71% over the past decade. Criminologist Maria Murani says since the pandemic, social media has played a big role in this increase.
Constater aussi que certains groupes criminels avaient développé un nouveau mode opératoire.
She says we noticed that certain criminal groups developed new methods of recruiting young people on social media who were not part of any criminal gangs before, adding they are lured by online contracts to commit arson, steal cars, and even kill for money. But they don't tell them the risks to their own lives or that they'll be caught and jailed. Morani says social media also normalizes violence and is even used to post violent acts, so kids as young as 8-9 years old can be subjected to this online, where predators find them and encourage them to hurt others and themselves. Morani says it is high time to find a way to control the presence of minors online, as other countries have done. Montreal's Transit Authority is launching a study of 8 public transportation zones. Now that much of the REM is operational and the Metro's Blue Line extension is under construction, the ARTM is looking at how best to develop routes and projects to serve public transit users. The zones being studied include the central sector of Montreal as well as Saint Laurent, Ahuntsic, and Montreal North. Chambéry-Laval is also being looked at. There is more on this story on our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Recent rainfall amounts have brought the wildfire situation in Quebec under control. This has allowed the province's Forest Fire Prevention Agency, SUPFR, to lend a hand in British Columbia.
Quebec has loaned 3 water bombers aircraft to British Columbia for an indefinite period, depending on the needs. We are able to lend these aircraft resources because the situation in Quebec has stabilized. And thanks to the rain that fell over the past week, more than we thought. All fires in Quebec are now under control, and there's no property or infrastructures are currently threatened. So still 119 active fires, but everything is under control. And if we can land the water bombers, it's because we are now more focusing on the ground.
The help from Quebec is urgently needed. Just last night, an entire village north of Vancouver was ordered to evacuate with a fast-moving fire less than 10 kilometers away. Hundreds of Clinton area residents are fleeing as the Pear Lake fire continues to grow. Rugged terrain is making it difficult for crews to get the upper hand. More than 140 firefighters and 15 helicopters are battling a cluster of 3 fires in the region. The BC wildfires are sending thick black smoke across Western Canada, severely impacting air quality. Calgary had some of the worst air quality in the country. Kathy Lee reports.
What should be a clear view of Calgary has faded into a wall of smoke.
At least once a day.
For Anthony Chim, who has asthma, it's a reason to stay inside.
I'm so, allergic to the poor pollution.
A day like today means using his inhaler more, but even that doesn't keep symptoms away.
Nasal congestion, short of breath. I have to do this, coughing.
According to Environment Canada, Calgary's air quality health index climbed above 10, the highest risk category and the worst in the country. At that level, Calgary EMS says the smoke isn't just a concern for vulnerable people.
There's definitely those that are at a higher risk, but everyone needs to take precautions, such as limiting your time outdoors. People that have to be outside for extended periods of time, wearing a well-fitted N95 mask or equivalent respirator can reduce the inhalation of fine particles.
As for the source of the smoke, it's drifting in from wildfires burning in British Columbia and Washington state.
Not only communities in BC and Washington being affected, but downstream in Alberta, Saskatchewan, even into parts of Manitoba.
The hazy blanket of smoke over Calgary forcing some to change plans.
We had games scheduled to start right now at 6 o'clock, but we've had to move those games till Sunday.
And arriving during the city's outdoor folk music festival, where real-time air monitors are being used.
We want to make sure that the air quality is safe enough for not only the performers, not only the staff, but also the attendees.
Chim has committed to volunteering at the festival, but knows his plans depend on the air quality.
I would definitely try. If anything getting too serious, I have to leave the site immediately.
Environment Canada says smoke conditions will fluctuate throughout the day, and it is expected to linger into the weekend. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
It was a week of more tariff tension from U.S. President Donald Trump, and the president today showing no sign of slowing down. Jeremy Charon reports.
The U.S. president unrelenting, sharing this image on social media today depicting the Canada-U.S. border separated by an air filter, and it follows these comments Friday.
We're going to put a big tariff on Canada because of the smoke. I've told Canada they have to do something about it. You know, we've never had this problem. All of a sudden we have this problem with Canada.
The week ending as it started with tariff threats against Canada. Monday, the U.S. administration announced new 50% levies on a long list of goods in response to provinces taking U.S. booze off the shelves and Canada's supply-managed dairy industry.
People simply are not aligned with the president continuing to rail against Canada, continuing to attack the country, and also continuing to shape this narrative that somehow Canada has been unfair to the United States.
But the renewed pressure from the president could actually be a sign, says this international trade expert, that trade talks between the countries are ramping up.
From the ratcheting up of these tariffs, you get a sense that there's a reason they're going to do that, and it's going to be because it's our turn now, right? Mexico's done, almost. They're meeting again in September. It's Canada's turn to talk to the Americans about whatever they want to talk about. Right?
Meanwhile, this week, Ottawa quietly signed a new free trade agreement with Ecuador and concluded negotiations on a comprehensive economic partnership with the United Arab Emirates.
If Donald Trump is going to continue to place a blanket of uncertainty over trade with Canada, then Canada is going to go find partners, investments, and dollars elsewhere.
Some, though, have questioned the Carney government's path towards trade diversification.
They don't achieve the diversification that the Carney government has been saying they need. And they also raise very deeply disturbing questions about the kinds of governments we're willing to work with.
The pressure is now on for the Carney government when it comes to a deal with the U.S. to either strike some kind of agreement before August 19th, when the 50% tariffs are set to take effect, or determine how to retaliate. Jeremy Charon, CTV News, Ottawa.
Christine Fréchette is boasting on social media about her first 100 days in office as Premier. In a vertical video tailor-made for cell phones, the Premier touts the financing of hospitals and more home care. She also talks about help for homeowners, lowering taxes for small businesses and farmers, and the CAQ's bills to protect French. One political observer says her tone is a big change from her predecessor.
She brought a drastic change in tone in the approach she had, for instance, on immigration, on the protection of the French language. They're still doing the same things. They're protecting, it's a nationalist party, but the approach is different. And I would say it's more towards consensus. It shows that an intent to listen and to work more in collaboration with stakeholders across the province, rather than in confrontation and in attacking and dividing the population.
The latest polls put Fréchette's CAQ in the 20% support range, indicating this fall's election campaign could be a three-way race. Well, two big names will not be attending the National Bank Open next month in Montreal, which gets underway August 2nd. 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic and world #1 player Jannik Sinner have both withdrawn from the tournament. Tennis Canada announced both players were included on the entry list for the ATP Masters 1000 tournament beginning August 1st. Sinner won at Wimbledon earlier this month. French Open champion and Wimbledon runner-up Alexander Zverev will be the tournament's top seed. Montreal's Félix Auger-Aliassime will be seeded second, making him the highest-seeded Canadian in the tournament's history. And disappointment tonight for Montreal soccer fans. CF Montreal will host Inter Miami at Saputo Stadium, but the match might not have the same interest it had last time. Lionel Messi will not be there as the Eastern Conference first-place team meets Montreal, which sits in 12th place. Messi has been given time off after playing the entire 120-minute World Cup final in New Jersey last weekend. Messi played in all 8 of Argentina's games. The match starts at 7:30. Today is the end of National Drowning Prevention Week. One of the champions of this week is a regular figure you see on our newscasts, and you've seen him for decades. Reynald Hawkins is celebrating his 40th anniversary with the Life Saving Society's Quebec branch. He sat down with our Olivia O'Malley.
This is me when we had the World Aquatic Championship. I was over there.
Reynald Hawkins has albums filled with keepsakes from his life-saving career. One of the accomplishments he's the most proud of is his Royal Life-Saving Society diploma. It's one of the oldest and most prestigious international awards. The 67-year-old says he gets a similar sense of satisfaction watching the number of drownings decrease every year.
40 years ago, we have 200 drownings tuition per year in Quebec province, and now the average is 60.
Hawkins is celebrating 40 years working for the Life Saving Society's Quebec branch.
And this is me as a lifeguard.
But his career really started in a lifeguard chair on the beaches of St. Agathe at 15 years old.
I was a hockey player like every boys, but when I found the swimming pool and I saw those swimmers inside the swim team, I said, why not?
He continued to work part-time for the city when he went to school. Hawkins earned a bachelor's degree in physical education from UQAM. Then in 1986, he became the technical director at the Life Saving Society, and 4 years later, he became the executive director.
I'm a teacher first, and for me, this is the opportunity I have to teach and try to change your behavior about water and have fun with water, but we also say you need to follow aquatics and boating safety tips all the time.
Over the past 4 decades, he says his main mission has been to prevent drownings. He is the Life Saving Society's French spokesperson for Canada and main spokesperson in Quebec. Hawkins estimates he does over 100 interviews a year, and he will never say no to media, even on the weekend, because he says it's what he can do to help save lives, but admits there can be hard days.
I'm a grandfather, and I can tell you when is it toddlers, I have some emotionals because I can see also my 2 years daughter on those cases.
Hawkins is still a certified lifeguard and has dozens of certificates.
That's why I swim like 2 or 3 times a week, and I maintain my physical activities, my active living by running, by cycling. And I think it's very important for me.
But he's starting to look forward to some new memories. Retirement is on the horizon, which he says will include swimming and spending more time with his granddaughter. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
Let's have a look at weather. A nice warm summer day out there. It is currently 29 in Montreal, 28 in Sherbrooke, and 28 in Quebec City. We'll be seeing similar temps tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds throughout the day with a high of 28 degrees. We are expecting a rainy week ahead, though. We have rain in the forecast from Monday to Thursday, but the temperatures will be warm and then things will clear up by Friday to close out the week.
And a reminder that on tonight's Lotto 649 draw, you could win $36 million. Good luck.
After the break, wildfires are raging in Spain and France.
There's nowhere to go. The roads are shut. The police told me to stay.
And to free up resources, the final leg of the Tour de France is cut short. And a Canadian intern at NATO is arrested on suspicions of espionage. A Canadian intern at NATO has been arrested on suspicion of espionage. Belgium's federal prosecutor says the intern is suspected of spying on behalf of a third country and of being a member of a criminal organization. The prosecutor's office launched an investigation after being tipped off by NATO's security services. The Canadian intern had been working at NATO's strategic headquarters of the Allied Powers Base in Belgium. Both Canada and Belgium are members of the 32-nation military alliance that China had labeled a security challenge in 2021. Part of the final leg of the Tour de France has been cut due to raging wildfires in the country. Fires are burning in southwestern France and across the border in Spain. Marcus Moore reports.
Wildfires across parts of Spain and France continue to expand. Strong winds, high temperatures, and drought conditions fueling the flames. Authorities say more than 250,000 people have evacuated. Spanish authorities declaring a national emergency. The two largest fires burning more than 90,000 acres combined. In Madrid, new evacuations after 3 massive fires increased in size Friday and merged into one outside the city. Local officials calling it the worst in the region's history, with more than 3,000 firefighters trying to get it under control. In France, more than 80,000 acres have burned and more than 140 homes destroyed. The biggest wildfire is near Bordeaux. Smoke can be seen over the city. A popular vacation spot, residents and tourists across the region forced to flee.
There's nowhere to go. The roads are shut. The police told me to stay.
Rebecca Papon from Tennessee and her 2 children are on vacation in nearby Biscarroz.
Everything is burning, and that the 2 main roads leaving the city are closed and on fire. So I just stayed in the house.
French officials urging them to shelter in place. The fires forcing the final stage of the Tour de France in Paris Sunday to be shortened so resources can be freed up. The country bracing for a possible 4th heat wave next week, with temperatures also expected to rise in Spain. Marcus Moore, ABC News, London.
The cost of diesel is surging again, and grocers are warning that what starts at the pump could impact your food bill. Maria Saru reports.
Diesel powers the machinery dairy farmer Daniel Hagman relies on to keep his 120 cows fed and their milk moving to market. His fuel bill is already in the tens of thousands and only getting bigger.
That's profits lost. It's just money taken out of our pockets at the end of the day.
On PEI, diesel prices have eased from their spring peak but climbed again Friday, now selling for about $2.44 a liter. That's about 17 cents above the national average. For now, Hagman says farmers have been taking the hit. But soon that'll be unsustainable, with everything from contractors to feed costing more.
We have to pass that increase on, so it just keeps going down the chain.
And it's not just dairy products. Higher fuel costs will inevitably drive up prices on store shelves, says the Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers.
Those goods that are requiring long distances of transportation where you're importing them, and also requiring cold storage. So everything from fresh fruits and vegetables to meat, dairy products, those are the ones that are most vulnerable to these kind of rising costs.
For Hagman, the next few months will show whether the worst has passed or costs keep climbing.
It cuts the bottom line for us, so really it has to, we hope to see an end soon.
On farms like this, the question now is when producers will need to pass costs on. Hagman says he expects that could happen before the end of the year. Maria Saru, CTV News, Hunter River, Prince Edward Island.
After the break, bracing for Trump tariffs.
We were very surprised.
Concern among Canadian beekeepers as Trump targets Canadian honey. And why is your vet bill so high? We speak with Quebec's Veterinary Medical Association about what's led to the increase.
I'm Allison Bamford in Regina tonight on CTV National News. New tech meets ancient literature.
The demand is just really high for this.
The real-life odyssey of trying to get tickets to sold-out screenings. Just how far viewers are traveling to see it. Tonight on CTV National News and ctvnews.ca.
If you have a pet at home, you know it can be expensive, and you might have noticed visits to the vet are becoming increasingly costly. So why is this happening, and what can you do about it? Joining us now is Valérie Bissonnette from Quebec's Veterinary Medical Association. Hi, Valérie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for joining us. So start off by telling us what is happening with vet costs, and are they increasing beyond inflation?
Well, I have to say this year it seems to have stabilized, but it's true that honestly in the last few years, mainly during the pandemic, there was an increase that went beyond the inflation. The first reason was the necessity to improve our support staff and veterinary nurses' salary and conditions. The pandemic put extra pressure on our veterinary clinics, and it made the catch-up like essential. The workforce shortage was already being a problem in our field, and the increase in demand for veterinary care just forced that catch-up. But we're happy to have made that catch-up. Then the medication, the medical supply, the equipment costs have increased importantly. So lots of factors really caused and justified the increase that the pet owners have noted. And I would like to add that sometimes like we confuse the increase in costs with the increase in options, because medicine has evolved really greatly and really rapidly. So probably faster than ever, we see new treatments coming, new technology, and that means also more costly options. So plan A is much more expensive than it used to be, but also much more efficient sometimes.
You've been asked about this a lot, I'm sure, but we've heard of private companies buying up vet clinics. Of course, we know they're trying to make a profit. Is that one major aspect in all of these cost increases, or is it just sort of one angle in this issue?
For now, it's just an angle, well, one of the possible factor. There's no cause and effect relationship that has been established yet. So we'll see, I guess future will tell us. But for now, like I said, there are plenty of other factors to take into account when we explain that increase.
I guess this varies from clinic to clinic and for the type of service being offered, but do we have examples of how much prices have gone up?
I don't have one really, because it really varies between clinics, or even depending on the care that we're talking about, like in the same establishment. So we know that some of the pet owners have been surprised with the rise of spay and neuter, for example, but the spay and neuter surgeries were still and are still in some clinics when they can afford it. They're still charged below the cost, the real cost. So there are charged at a loss, and we cannot continue to charge below the cost while maintaining the quality of care, and it's not sustainable. Without subventions or donations, we cannot continue to do that.
We hear about pet insurance. There are, of course, a lot of different options. Is that a solution for pet owners?
Well, yes. I think it's a very possible, it's something that would be very helpful. So it's part of the solution. It's definitely something I would recommend all pet owners to explore as soon as possible, as soon as they think about becoming a parent of a pet, for the peace of mind that it can bring.
Really quickly, before we wrap up here, another topic related to veterinarians. Many, you were saying before this interview, many are victims of violence. So what's that about?
It's actually a very concerning study that was conducted across the French-speaking veterinary community. So we found that incivility has become a growing and troubling reality in veterinary practice. It's no longer an isolated issue. It really has become part of the daily lives of veterinarians. So hitting walls or being insulted is part of the veterinary routine now, which is not normal. We need trust we need a trust relationship between the veterinarians and the families, the pet owner families, to really be able to make to take the best decisions for the pet's care. So it is very concerning to us that more than 70% of the veterinarians declare having violent situations with clients within the last year.
Thanks so much for doing this today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Time now for our In Case You Missed It, a warning to people buying used cars. There is a device that plugs into a car and prevents the mileage from adding up. A mechanic on the South Shore found one just by accident. Sweeta Rassi explains.
It all started with the repair at this garage in Saint-Isidore-de-la-Prairie. Last week, a customer brought in their car for maintenance. Owner Maha Durij says nothing was out of the ordinary, so as a final check, he took the car for a test drive. But something didn't add up.
We drive it for 7 kilometers. So when we came back to the shop, we saw that the trip was still on 0.
Confused, he turned to ChatGPT for answers.
They told us maybe you have a mileage blocker on the car.
It's something he's never heard of before, a mileage blocker. But after doing some research online and taking a closer look into the car, he found it.
And we were shocked. And later that night, I made a video on Facebook.
It's a small attachment that plugs into the back of an odometer and stops the kilometers from adding up. And the video he posted online got traction. Durij says within the last week, he received calls and messages from several drivers who suspect they also have been deceived. Since then, he's learned how to spot them and has taken some out. George Ini is with the Automobile Protection Association. After hearing about this device, he took a trip to Durij's garage.
And it was something new. And we were astonished when they showed us the website to see the range of products that's available.
Online, it can sell from hundreds to thousands of dollars.
You know, this device is so new, I have no idea how you could protect yourself from it. I'd like to believe there's not too many of them out there.
Under Quebec's Consumer Protection Act, tampering with the odometer to reduce or change the mileage of a car is illegal. But selling or buying these types of devices are not.
It's a problem.
As for Durij, he expects he will see more of these devices, meaning used car buyers should be aware what you see on the odometer may not be telling the full story of the car. Sweeterasi, CTV News.
The looming threat of Trump's latest round of tariffs has had Canadian honey producers concerned. The U.S. is the biggest buyer of Canadian honey. Allison Bamford reports.
It's the middle of honey production season, and these hives are buzzing.
These guys are all actually filling the cells up with fresh nectar.
Simon Lalonde is checking in on production, a task that sometimes stings.
Part of the job.
But the potential sting of U.S. tariffs is something that the Canadian honey industry doesn't normally feel.
We were very surprised. We don't really see a whole lot of reasoning for it.
President Donald Trump's threat of a 50% tariff comes at an already difficult time for beekeepers, battling parasites and years of low prices, making it tough to break even.
Right now, beekeepers are essentially keeping their beehives healthy. That's all we're trying to do, keep them going until the next season.
The U.S. is one of the Canadian honey industry's biggest buyers, making up about 60% of honey exports, worth almost $30 million last year. Looming tariffs could close that off.
Without sales, I'm sure operations will fail. We just don't have alternative markets to sell Canadian honey. We're working on it, but it's very difficult to do.
Producers like Lalonde could be forced to sell their honey at even lower prices just to get rid of it, although he doesn't anticipate that would change the price for consumers.
Honey prices in Canada have been at an extreme low for the last 4 years, yet the prices on the store shelves have stayed essentially the same.
In a few days, Lalonde will start extracting honey from these hives. That's where his attention is right now. Once that's done, he says then he can focus on any possible impacts from the tariffs.
It's like every other farm. Get the crop in the bin and then worry about how you're going to market it.
A sticky situation that the industry hopes trade talks can resolve. Allison Bamford, CTV News, near Clavet, Saskatchewan.
Just ahead, criticism over a viral video.
Shout out to my couch guy. I forget his name, but he's really cool.
Vancouver police facing questions following a stunt by 2 scooter riders.
CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
Increasing number of abandoned buildings.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVMontreal.ca, your home for news.
A string of retail thefts has put police across the country on high alert. As Vanessa Wright tells us, it's a problem experts say is only ramping up.
Retail crime has been climbing to new heights.
If you ask any store, it's definitely been a problem.
Cases from coast to coast show it's only getting worse. On Monday, Halifax police arrested a man and woman accused of going on a shoplifting spree at Sephora over a 2-day period.
As security had gone through their footage, they also discovered that they had been responsible for 2 other thefts from 2 different Sephora locations.
They walked out with more than $10,000 worth of merchandise, and police in Hamilton, Ontario, recovered more than $300,000 worth of stolen hardware. 32 people were busted for that organized retail theft, targeting the building supply retailer.
Why it's happening, we really don't know. Probably a combination of, making it tough for people to make ends meet, but also just the ease with which criminals can do it and sell the merchandise online.
Retail experts like Bruce Winder believe there should be tougher penalties for those who commit retail theft, and says government should consider bail reform.
So that if you do commit a crime like this, you're not getting out, So we need to toughen those things.
Whether you're a consumer or business owner, Halifax police say if you see something, say something. But they warn to never approach a suspect.
Not to say that everybody's dangerous, but you just don't know one person from the next of what they're capable of. So if you do see something that is concerning, just notify store staff and let them handle it.
To hopefully stop a crime in its tracks before it happens again. Vanessa Wright, CTV News.
Airbnb has named an Ottawa neighborhood one of the trendiest in Canada. Camille Wilson has more.
For Grant Craig, the Glebe is one of his favorite areas to visit in Ottawa.
I think it's more of a real experience of Ottawa versus, the more touristy areas like the market. So it's kind of, it's got more of a hometown feel.
That's why he's showing his girlfriend around the neighborhood.
He really loves this area, and he thought it'd be great to bring me out here.
The couple visiting from Sudbury exploring the area on e-bikes.
I took her down the canal and came in Lansdowne, and this is an area that's, easily accessible from the canal.
The Glebe has landed on Airbnb's list of Canada's top 10 trendiest neighborhoods, meaning bookings are up nearly 180% year over year.
It's very community-oriented.
I love coming down here. I just live over the bridge in Old Ottawa South, but it's got a great vibe. It's nice to walk into, little stores rather than great big box stores. The service, I find, is much better.
Bank Street full of local restaurants and shops, including Compact Records, which has been here for 30 years.
The blend of stores is unique in 2 ways. There's not a lot of one category, and in probably 75% of the stores, the owner's in the store, which makes a difference. The owners, because I am one, have a vested interest in ensuring the store does the best that it can.
But over the years, residents say things have changed.
With the construction of Lansdowne, it's, traffic problem has increased. Parking has always been a problem here.
Still, visitors say it's a local community worth seeing.
I love it. Yeah, it's very nice, very quaint, lots of little shops, coffee places, my kind of place.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
A video showing 2 men using e-scooters to transport a couch has gone viral. But it's how a pair of Vancouver police officers responded that's drawing some criticism. Isabella Zavarisi reports.
You're probably wondering, what's going on here? The stunt was pulled off a few weeks ago by a group called the Lime Scoot Boys.
It was one of the best moments of my lime scooting career.
The video has racked up tens of thousands of views.
Shout out to my couch guy. I forget his name, but he's really cool.
Just 2 lime scooters and a Facebook Marketplace couch. Oh yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
But it's the words of encouragement from these Vancouver police officers that's drawing criticism.
I thought it was absolutely foolish. It's dangerous.
This former police chief thinks the VPD should have intervened.
My sense is that was inappropriate, that he should have got out of the car, had a conversation with these individuals, and...
The VPD says the officers used their discretion.
Discretion is meant there to be able to have the police officer help someone
without being black and white about it, without being punitive on the streets. In this case, I think that's what happened.
When asked whether officers would do the same if this had happened in other parts of the city, like the downtown east side.
Those are fair comments, and I know we get it, and that comes with our profession. I can honestly tell you, like, you know, we try to train bias out.
What we're doing was just having a bit of fun, not endangering anyone, you know. And to those people who say we should get fined and stuff, maybe go try a lime couch and live a little.
Under the Motor Vehicle Act, the joyride was illegal. Hughes acknowledges he wasn't wearing a helmet.
Yes, that's a big issue because I believe a woman recently passed away on a Lime scooter, and that's a tragedy.
E-scooter safety has become a priority for both law enforcement and doctors.
We've seen children requiring their airway protected, kids that required surgery.
Some municipalities like Burnaby even banning them on certain roads.
Hey guys, we're here for the Scientology.
Hughes says he's aware of the risks, and while he may have dodged a ticket, he may not be so lucky next time. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
A man from Atlanta has gone viral. He is social media's favorite copycat. Here's Danny New.
When a new physical feat emerges, like the Toy Story challenge, Atlanta's Carl Harris is probably going to give it his best shot.
What is generally your approach when you're trying out these videos?
This is one thing I want people to know. It's literally my first time. I don't practice them.
Over the past few years, millions online have been delighted to watch this father of two attempt the internet's most impressive tricks.
He said,
which sometimes look even more impressive after Carl gives them a spin.
I love making people laugh and everything. And then I also love showing that, yo, these people are talented. This stuff is hard.
Just in case I have to run.
Now, by trade, Carl is a hip-hop style dancer who has been teaching for decades. And at first, he was mostly just posting his dances on social media. But soon, his followers learned that if they sent him more daring conquests, he didn't seem to mind giving those a whirl, too.
Have you sustained any injuries from these attempts?
Just some. I have like bumps and bruises, nothing major.
A few years in, his followers have now learned to expect a few staples during his attempts. For starters, he often welcomes help from his sister and wife for the team-building exercises. And also Carl's signature catchphrase, "She said," which, as he explains, just came about organically as he reacted live to someone's ability to do something he simply could not fathom.
The physical expression.
Yes, the physical expression of it, yes.
And now it's perhaps what his followers said that motivates Carl to keep putting his body on the line. One commenter writing, "Man, you never failed to improve my day."
So that's how I know that this is something that God just really placed for me to do.
You were meant to be in pain.
Yes, my pain brings them laughter. Ain't that crazy?
I asked Carl if he ever plans to stop, and he said as long as he's having fun, he's going to keep going. Personally, I could never do a split with two chairs, so he might be one in a billion for finding that fun. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Just for Laughs honored a longtime fixture at the festival. Former CEO Bruce Hills received a Legacy Tribute Award Friday. Bruce started at Just for Laughs in the 80s as a driver and worked his way all the way to the top job. The festival thanked him for his decades of bringing laughter to Montreal. We will speak with Hills about his long career at the festival on our newscast Sunday. Well, do you remember the little kangaroo who was hopping around a field in Boucherville a few weeks ago before he was finally captured? The Granby Zoo released this video of Joey's arrival and care at the zoo. He had a whole medical workup and has gained almost a kilogram since arriving. But he will likely not stay at Granby Zoo because they are not equipped to care for kangaroos long term. Zoo officials have not yet said where his new home will be. After the break, it was an incredible encounter. A pod of orcas are spotted swimming north of Vancouver.
breaking news and local news that matters to you. Download the CTV News app right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using your smartphone. Or you can also go to our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca.
Some lucky onlookers were treated to a spectacular show north of Vancouver. A pod of orcas was captured swimming through the area Thursday evening. Video posted to social media shows a couple of the whales breaching out of the water, much to the delight of spectators. And there was even a young calf spotted with the pod. Taking a final look at weather now. A perfect summer day out there. 29 degrees right now in Montreal. Similar temps elsewhere in Quebec. It's 28 in Sherbrooke, 28 in Quebec City. We are expecting another nice day tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds throughout the day and a high of 28 degrees. There is rain in the forecast. Chance of rain or showers from Monday to Thursday this week. The warm weather continues though, and then things will clear up by Friday to close out the week. And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your Saturday night.